Today we're going to be taking a look at the 2021 Honda CRF 450RL dual sport motorcycle. Say goodbye to the CRF 450L that ran from 2019 to 2020, as this is its replacement. Honda went and added an extra R in there, like they did with the $28,000 2021 CBR 1000 RRR RRR SP Fireblade. And as we all know, adding an extra R in there is like slapping on a few stickers. It's instant horsepower. In short though, why did they add an R in there? It's all marketing. It's to remind you that this bike is based off of the CRF 450R platform. Did they actually change anything for 2021 though? A couple of things, and we're going to touch on those and more. But first, if you find any parts of this video helpful, please hit the like button below so YouTube's algorithm will allow my channel to grow and in return bring you guys more videos. So what did Honda change for 2021 aside from throwing an extra letter in the name? They decided to throw on a set of handguards, new graphics, and an updated ECU with more fine-tuned fuel injection settings. Now normally when you have new changes thrown at a bike, you'll see a price increase, but thankfully we didn't in this case. We actually saw the opposite. Originally, the 450RL was released at $10,399, which was the same price as the outgoing 450L, but then Honda did something they don't do often, a PPR, which is a permanent price reduction, and brought it down to $9,999, and thankfully Honda has kept the 2022 450RL at that same figure as well. And you can check out more info on the 2022 450RL and other 2022 bikes over at HondaProKevin.com. I want to take a quick second and say thank you to Southern Honda Power Sports for opening their doors to me and allowing me to come pick through their inventory for these videos. They are a massive Honda Power Sports dealer here in Chattanooga, Tennessee, with tons of inventory from new Hondas to used Harleys and everything in between that they sell to people from all over the USA. So check out the link in the description below and head over to their website to see if they can save you some money on your next toy. Now this bike has a lot of really cool details that we just don't have the time to cover. It would take about an hour. If you're the type of person that wants to see all of that nitty-gritty info when it comes to research and development, the bike stripped down to the frame, technical engine info, and more, then I'm going to do one more shameless plug and tell you to check out HondaProKevin.com, and I'll have a link below sending you straight to the 450RL page where it goes over more information than what I can cover in this video. With that out of the way, let's get into some of the details that make this bike what it is. This is hands down the baddest dual sport bike that Honda has ever built. Why? Because Honda wasn't chasing a budget with this bike like they were with the 230L that turned into the 250 and then the 300L that we have today. And then you've got the classic XR650L that hasn't been touched in over 20 years. You see that though when it comes to pricing, as this 450RL is almost twice the price of the 300L and $3,000 more than the 650L. Is it worth it though? It all depends on what you plan on using the bike for. If you just want to commute and head down a few trails here and there, and you aren't the kind of person that has to have quote unquote the best of everything, and you're happy with not having acceleration that wants to float the front tire in the first few gears, get the 300L. On the other hand, if you want an animal, something that can do anything and everything you want to throw at it, and 10,000 bucks is in your budget, this bike is hard to beat. Up front, you have a fully adjustable 49mm Showa coil spring fork with 12.2 inches of travel, paired up with a ProLink design in the rear with a matching adjustable Showa shock that has 11.8 inches of wheel travel. These aren't just copy and pasted from the 450R though. The RL has dedicated settings that are more suited for trail riding compared to motocross. And when it comes to braking, Honda has made some changes over the 450R there too. It uses the 450R's design but with additional fade resistance thanks to thicker discs and a large capacity reservoir to cut down on brake fade. And for brake specs, you have a 2-piston 260mm setup up front with a 1-piston 240mm out back. And when it comes to wheels and tires, unlike the 450R that uses a 19-inch rear wheel, the 450RL has an 18-inch setup with the addition of a cush drive to absorb chain shock, and you have a 21-inch front wheel up front, and both are wrapped in IRC GP tires. Honda went through a lot of effort to keep noise and vibrations to a minimum on this bike, and if you've ever ridden a 450R that has been converted into a supermoto setup, then you know what I'm talking about, and that's what Honda wanted to combat by making some of the changes you'll find on the RL when compared to the R model. And here's a couple of quick examples. The swing arm was injected with urethane to reduce road noise, and then you have the sprockets. Have you ever noticed the funny looking rubber stuff on them? It's to cut down on sound and vibration, and the same thing goes with the engine case covers that you'll find on this bike. It's to cut down on sound and vibration, and the same thing goes with the engine case covers that you'll find on this bike that you won't see on the R models. Honda went through a lot of effort to make this bike more friendly on the street, rather than just taking the 450R and throwing lights on it and calling it a day like they could have. And now we'll take a quick second, we'll start the bike up, give it a few revs, let you guys hear what it sounds like, and then we'll come back and touch on some more specs. And next up we have the engine. It's a liquid-cooled 449.7cc single-cylinder 4-stroke Unicam engine. While the fundamental architecture of the 4-valve Unicam engine remains the same next to the 450R, many details had to be changed to support the broader role of making a dual sport motorcycle compared to a motocross bike. The crank's mass was increased, resulting in 13% more inertia, which for a trail rider equals improved torque feel and response. Valve timing was revised to give a more broad and smoother spread of power and torque throughout the power band. Now the bore and stroke are unchanged from the 450R, but the piston uses 3 rings now instead of 2 for increased durability. The compression ratio was also dropped 1.5 points, and the airbox was redesigned. And you also have the addition of an extra gear for the street, making it a 6-speed compared to the 450R's 5-speed transmission. And now, what does all of this equal in the performance department? She has 41.7 horsepower and 23.6 foot-pounds of torque. And when it comes to maintenance, this isn't like the 250 and 300L models where you can go 8,000 miles between oil changes. I'm sure you've heard the term pay to play, and that rings true here too. For that performance increase, you go from 8,000 miles to every 600 miles on the 450RL model. And that's why I recommend a cheaper alternative if you're not really going to use this bike in the way it was designed for. The 300L will get the job done for most of us. But if you're like me, the 450RL is where it's at, and you don't care how much extra it costs. It's 100% worth it. But everybody is different. But that's one thing to keep in mind though when you're shopping this bike compared to another one is maintenance intervals, which is something that a lot of people don't pay enough attention to until it's too late. And now we've made this video a lot longer than it was supposed to be, so we're going to quickly cover some other highlights on the bike. It has a 2-gallon titanium fuel tank to save a few ounces here and there, and that ties into the lightweight lithium-ion battery that Honda ships in these to power all of your electrical components like the LED lights and more. And that helps bring its curb weight down. With all fluids, it tips the scales at 291 pounds. And for a few more numbers, its seat height comes in at 37.2 inches, ground clearance at 12.6 inches, and its wheelbase is 58.9 inches. And if you want any more of the technical specs, check out the links below in the description. And that's the 2021 Honda CRF 450RL. What do you guys think about the new changes that Honda threw at it for 2021? Is it perfect now, or did they need to do a little bit more? A little more horsepower maybe? What do you guys think? And that'll do it for this video, guys. Thanks again for watching. I really appreciate the support, and we'll see you in the next one.